Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading from Srimad Bhagawatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, verses 20 to 22. Verse 20. Tamasi apare vidaratma sargam. Tamasya pare vidaratma sargam. Vichenvato aput samahams chineni. Vichenvato but samahams chineni. Yo deha bhajam payam ivayamaha. Yo deha bhajam payam irayamaha. Parikshinote ayo ajasya eti. Parikshinote ayo ajasya eti. Tamasya pare vidaratma sargam. Ichen vato bhut samahams chineni. Yateha bhajam bhayam irayamaha. Parikshinotyaya rajasya eti. Tamasya pare vidaratma sargam. Vichan vato bhut samahams chineni. Yateha bhajam bhayam irayamaha. Parikshinotyaya ajasya eti. Chant.
Tamasya pare viduratma sargam. Vichinvato kutsumaham srineni. Yodeha bhajam bhayam irayamaha. Parikshinotyaya rajasya eti.
Tamasya pare viduratma sargam. Vichinvato samaham chineni. Yodeha bhajam bhayam irayamaha. Parikshinote abhuyosya eti. Tamasya pare viduratma sargam. Vichinvato bhut samaham chineni. Yodeha bhajam bhayam irayamaha. Parikshinotyaya rajasya eti.
Tamasya pare viduratma sargam.
Tamasya pare viduratma sargam.
Vichinvato kutsumaham srineni.
Vichinvato bhut samaham chineni.
Yodeha bhajam bhayam irayamaha.
Yodeha bhajam bhayam irayamaha.
Parikshinotyaya rajasya eti.
Parikshinotyaya rajasya eti.
Tamasya pare viduratma sargam
Namasya Pare Viduratma Sargam
Vichimvato bhut samaham srinevai
Vichimvato bhut samaham srinevai
Yodeha baham yaham irayanaha
Yodeya Bhajam Vayam Iryanaha
Hari Shinoti Ayahor Ajasyai
Hari Shinotaya Ajahasati Tamasi Apare
Namaskar
because of an ignorant way of searching.
Because of an ignorant way of searching
Vidura,
Vidura,
Vidura, Atmasargam,
Sargam,
the cause of his creation.
the cause of his creation
Ishampataha,
Vichimvato
while contemplating.
while contemplating
Abud, it so became.
it so became
Sumahan,
Sumahan
very great.
very great.
Chinemihi,
Chinemihi,
time of 3 dimensions.
time of 3 dimensions
Yaha,
Yaha
which
which
Dehabhajam,
Devajam
of the embodied.
of the embodied
Ayam,
Vayam
fearfulness.
Fearfulness
Irayana,
Nirayana
generating.
Generating
Parikshinati,
Parikshinati
diminishing 100 years.
Diminishing 100 years
Anhu,
Ahu,
duration of life.
duration of life
Ajasya,
Ajasya,
of the self-born.
of the self-born
Heti,
Eti,
the wheel of eternal time.
the wheel of eternal time.
Translation. No Vidura was searching in that way about his existence. Brahma reached his ultimate time, which is the eternal wheel in the hand of Vishnu, and which generates fear in the mind of living entity like the fear of death. Repeat. O Vidura,
O Vidura,
while searching in that way
while searching in that way
about his existence,
about his existence.
Brahma reached his ultimate time,
Brahma reached his ultimate time,
which is the eternal wheel
which is the
the
eternal
eternal wheel,
in the hand of Vishnu,
and which
and which generates fear in the mind
and which generates fear in the mind
of living entity,
of the living entity,
like the fear of death. So we're going to text 21. Tato nivritta patirapta kamaha sadishyam asadyapuna sadeva shanachita shasa nivitta chitta nyasi tat arutta samadhi yoga. Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling all objectives, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord. Report. Samadhi involves concentrating the mind upon the supreme cause of all, even if one is unaware of whether his actual nature is personal, impersonal, or localized. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is certainly a form of devotional service. To cease from personal sense endeavors and to concentrate on the Supreme Cause is a sign of self-surrender. And when self-surrender is present, that is a sure sign of devotional service. Each and every living entity needs to engage in devotional service to the Lord if he wishes to understand the ultimate cause of his existence. Text 22. Kalena soja purusha shamhi pravritti yogena vivutta bodha svayam tananta hidayet bhagam apashata vashatadyam napurvam. The end of Brahma's 100 years, when his meditation was complete, he developed the required knowledge, and as a result, he could see it in his heart, the Supreme within himself, whom he could not see before with the greatest endeavor. Report. The Supreme Lord can be experienced only through the process of devotional service and not by one's personal endeavor and mental speculation. The age of Brahma is calculated in terms of Divya years, which are calculated in Bhagavad Gita. Sahasrayu Kaparyanta Maharya Brahmano Vidu. Brahma's one day is equal to 1,000 times the aggregate of the 4 yugas, calculated to be 4,300,000 years. that's 4,300,000,000 years. It's one day. On that basis, Brahma meditated for 100 years before he could understand the supreme cause of all causes. Then he wrote Brahma Samhita, which is approved and recognized by Lord Chaitanya, and in which he sings Govindamari Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. One has to wait for the mercy of the Lord before one can either render service unto him or know him as he is. Mukam karati vachalam bhandam tekikim yakipan hamande shiguram vatarinam omagyanat narandasya gananchara sharakaya chakshumanitam yena tasama shikravay aha. So what took Rama 100 years to realize? By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have it now. We have Brahma Samhita, the fruit, the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the essence of Brahma's meditation for 100 years. So Brahma Samhita describes how Brahma was born into darkness. Then, according to Brahma Samhita, Saraswati, goddess of learning, gave him the Gopal Gayatri mantra. Then she instructed Brahma to perform tapa. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled. So then Brahma meditated a long time on Gayatri mantra. His meditation was this. This is what it says in the purport of Brahma Samhita. There exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments in the transcendental land of Goloka. On this world, there exists a great divine throne in which is seated Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence, transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. So after that, he was initiated by the Kama Gayatri mantra coming from Krishna playing on his flute. So the sound of the flute entered his ears, and he got Kama Gayatri mantra. And he became twice born. So in this Gayatri, he realized the pastimes of Gopajana Vallabha. After perfect meditation and prayer, so then his first verse we sing every day, Chintamani Prakarasadvasu Kalpavrusha. He described the spiritual world as Chintamani, full of desire trees, cows giving unlimited milk, and Krishnas being served by unlimited gopis. So by the word Chintamani, here it says in that purport, is meant transcendental gem. So the spiritual world is made of transcendental gems. And this world, it says, Maya is building this universe with 5 material elements. So the spiritual potency has built the spiritual world of transcendental gems. Yes, so when we go there, we'll find out what those gems are. Don't ask me. So, yes, the Lord is always joyful, and he's cognizant in rasa, his taste of transcendental bliss. His gentleness, his smile, his character, everything related to him are transcendental. And this is the reality. This is the actual reality. We're all sleeping in this material world. This is a shadow of the reality, a temporary representation from which we have to be detached. So by doing devotional service, it's in these both purports, it says, then we can experience Krishna. In this purport of 22, it says, the Supreme Lord can be experienced only through the process of devotional service. And then the purport of 21, to cease from personal sense endeavors and concentrate on the Supreme Cause is a sign of self-surrender. And when self-surrender is present, that is a sure sign of devotional service. So it begins with surrender. 6 steps of surrender: accept things favorable for devotional service, reject things unfavorable. So we accept the chanting, we reject the things, the 4 principles is rejecting 4 things there. And then number 3, firmly believe the Lord will always protect his devotee. Number 4, feel exclusively dependent on the mercy of the Lord, and that means also He is my maintainer. You are depending on Him to maintain us. 5, have no interest separate from the interest of the Lord. So that's oneness. That's the oneness we hear about, how the devotees are one. And last, always feel meek and humble. So, surrender is described in Gita. Krishna says, surrender to me, give up everything, and surrender to me. So if we read Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, Arjuna is giving so many reasons why he's not going to surrender. And we may go through our service like that too sometimes. We think of so many excuses why we should not surrender to Krishna. His reasons were degradation of family tradition, sinful reactions, I'll go to hell. And then Krishna told so many ways how to get free, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. But at the end, Krishna says, finally, just forget all those others and surrender to me. Shortcut, mameka, just accept me, and I will protect you. I will give you protection. I'll carry what you lack and protect what you have. So we have a personal relationship with Krishna in this surrender. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse that says, unless you're free from sinful reactions, you can't surrender. But by chanting Hare Krishna, we do get purified, and by performing devotional service. So, again, I'll repeat one thing I said in another class. I think we wake up in the morning, we think, I have so many problems to solve today. Prabhupada said, no, only one problem you have. Only one. That is how to accept Krishna. That's our problem of the day. How am I going to accept Krishna today in any way he comes to me? Yes, like the thunderbolt or the rose. Rose is easy, but thunderbolt is challenging. So sometimes we make it the thunderbolt. And so in a lecture, Prabhupada translated this verse. Well, actually, he was lecturing to the devotees in the West. And he said, yes, Krishna says, abandon all religion. He said, yeah, you've already done that. You don't have to worry about that part. You abandoned all religion. Just surrender to me, not just surrender to Krishna. Because in India, they have so many dharmas, this religion, that religion. But in the West, no, not really. Now it's more like that. In yoga groups, they worship this one and that one and Shiva and who knows, Durga. But no, just accept Krishna. We accepted Krishna, yeah. He dances, he's young, he's got long hair, he's beautiful, you know, yeah. He's the head of the hippies. Actually, you know, we accepted him. Lord Chaitanya too. Lord Chaitanya also, yeah. One time Prabhupada said in a lecture, Lord Chaitanya has come to save us, save you. But the way the Bengalis pronounced the S was, shave you. And then the devotees were thinking, what? Then Prabhupada said, yes, he's come to save you and shave you. So that was Lord Chaitanya. And so another translation Prabhupada gave of this surrender to me. We think, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Krishna says, all right, take this. But he says, but give up all this nonsense that we do not take. We ask Krishna, let me do this. Okay, go ahead. But if we surrender, then Krishna does protect us. Now, protection, that's one of the symptoms of surrender. In Gita, it talks about the highest degree of surrender. That's actually, Prabhupada mentions sannyasi, because the sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has to depend on the mercy of the Lord. If one thinks after I leave my connections, who will protect me, he should not accept renounced order. One must be fully convinced Krishna, in his localized aspect, is Paramatma, is always within. He's seeing everything, he knows what one intends to do. Have firm conviction, Krishna, as Paramatma, will take care of the soul surrender to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give me protection. And that is called abhayam, fearlessness. So, Krishna's giving protection, but not as much as he wants to give. He wants to give us full protection, but we don't accept full. We think we also can do it ourselves. So Krishna gives us as much as we want protection. And if you want full protection, then you have to surrender 100%. So you might think, well, okay, what if I'm not surrendered 100%? Will I still be protected by Krishna? And the answer is yes. There's a purport in the 9th canto. There's a story of Maharaj Ambarish, a great devotee king, who was attacked by a yogi. The yogi sent a demon to kill him. And Ambarish was not disturbed. He just stood there praying, okay, as you like, Lord. Prabhupada said because a devotee is never fearful of death, he meditates on the Lord as his duty. The Lord protects his devotee. And here's the important sentence for us. Prabhupada says in the purport of 9448. This protection is offered to a devotee even from the very beginning of his devotional service. One simply begins devotional service, he is immediately protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so another symptom of surrender, one is protection, another is maintenance. So there's a story about Lord Chaitanya. So we have on our altar Lord Chaitanya in the middle and Shivas all the way to the right. And this is a story about Lord Chaitanya and Shivas. Shivas had a huge family. There were 4 brothers, many children, so a huge family. And Lord Chaitanya said to him, I see you don't go anywhere. How will you manage to make ends meet, and how are you doing so? And Shivas Thakur said, anyway, I don't have the heart to go anywhere. And Lord Chaitanya said, you have a large family. How will you look after them? And Shivas said, whatever is my destiny will come. Everyone gets his destiny, his due. You'll surely find whatever providence provides. We'll manage with whatever comes our way. So Lord Chaitanya said, with this mentality, Shivas take sannyas. And Shivas said, no, that's not possible for me. Lord said, on the one hand, you refuse to beg as a sannyas. On the other hand, you don't make an effort for your livelihood or even collect food door to door. How do you plan to maintain your family? I'm unable to understand you. Nowadays, if you don't make the effort of going here and there, nothing will come of its own. Please tell me what you propose to do. So Shivas clapped 3 times. 1, 2, 3. What is this, 1, 2, 3? Lord Chaitanya said. So Shivas said, I have taken a solemn vow. If after fasting for 3 days, I don't get any food by his own accord, I'll tie a stone around my neck and throw myself in the Ganga to drown. Lord Chaitanya said, what did you say? You may fast. By some rare chance, even Lakshmi may have to go begging, but your family will never experience poverty. That was his promise. Have you forgotten what I said in Gita? Those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my form, to them I carry what they lack and reserve what they have. Those who are fixed in meditation on me never beg at the doorstep of anyone. All mystic potencies automatically manifest in them. And when the 4 personified goals of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha come knocking at their doors, my servants turn down such offers. They're fully protected by my Sukshin Chakra at all times. Even the time of total annihilation of this universe, they remain transcendental and unaffected. And here's one for us. Lord Chaitanya said, even one who simply remembers my devotee, I take responsibility for maintaining him. And because the servant of my servant is most dear to me, and he gets my shelter. My servants don't have to worry about their maintenance since I take their responsibility on my shoulder. I personally provide. So everything will automatically come to you. Live happily in your house. And he also gave the boon of your transcendental bodies will never be affected by old age and debility. So at the end of that verse, and he says, abandon all varieties of religion, surrender to me, I shall protect you. Ma shucha, don't fear. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. And that's in the purport to that verse. But especially in India, you think, surrender. I have so many responsibilities, And Maya tells us, no, don't do it, be out of my clutches. Stay with me and I'll kick you more. One cannot avoid surrender. You have monarchy, democracy, aristocracy, dictatorship, you have to surrender. No one can say I'm not surrendered to anyone. There's a story, I don't know if I told it in this class or not, but about Akbar, who was an emperor in India 500 years ago, and he had a minister, Birbal. So one time Birbal was late for the court, and the emperor said, why are you late? Oh, my wife, she had me do something. I'm sorry, I'm late, I have to listen to my wife. And Akbar said, why do you listen to your wife? And Birbal said, everyone listens to their wife, didn't you know? He said, okay, prove it. And so he said, okay, call all the men in this town to your palace outside. So they called all the men to the palace. And then the emperor said, so everyone who listens to their wife, go on this side. So there was a stampede, and everyone except one man went to that side. So the emperor said, wow, you are very brave. Why didn't you go to that side, like all the other men? He said, because my wife told me to avoid crowds. So, there you go. So he proved the point to the king. Everybody surrendered to the wife, and if you don't, you're in trouble. So, but Krishna is the one who we should surrender to. He will take care. He will take care of you. So now Prabhupada says, yeah, they don't surrender to God, they surrender to dog instead. And yes, they go and walk the dog, and the dog stands, and I have to stand. He passes here, and I have to wait. And the dog runs, I run. And sometimes you see these funny movies on Facebook where they're trying to walk the dog, and the dog drags them, and they fall down. Sometimes the dog doesn't want to walk, and they have to carry the dog. So this is what's going on. They're serving the dog. So yes. So other translations of this verse, surrender to me, instead of giving up all varieties of religion, Prabhupada would, sometimes he said, you rascal, give up all your nonsense and surrender to me. Another time Prabhupada said, my dear sons, why are you rotting in this miserable world? Come to me, I'll give you protection. You're my son. You can enjoy life very supremely, very magnificently, without death. Why are you rotting here? So these are beautiful translations. The nectar of devotion, don't hesitate. Don't consider because you're giving up all other engagements, there will be some flaw in your life. Don't think like that. I'll give you protection. Another translation, don't remain like cats and dogs. Be intelligent and come back to me. Another one, give up searching for your happiness in your own way, transmigrating from one life to another. Just take shelter of me, and I'll take charge of you. So, yes. Krishna, and when you surrender, he says, I'll protect you. And what does that mean? Is he can change your destiny. And that's what Brahma Samhita says. Because we have some karma, and he says, surrender, okay. That karma is actually finished when we surrender. And Prabhupada says, you may be condemned to death, Krishna can check it. He said, sometimes you get a little, like you break your wrist, you should have died instead, and you just broke your wrist. So our karma is changed when we surrender. And so one example of surrender is Parikshit, who is hearing Bhagavatam. And what did he say at the end of his life? Oh, Brahmanas, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul. Let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way. So he was sitting on the bank of Ganges. For I've already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahmana created, bite me at once. I only desire you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. So he was cursed to death by getting bit by a snake. So Srila Prabhupada says, if you give yourself to Krishna, to the lotus feet of Krishna, then you're not afraid of death. And he was with all the great sages, so he was in good company. He was very happy. So his last prayer was again offering obeisances to all the Brahmins. I pray, if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. So this is what there are three kinds of devotees, and this is the Madhyama, this is the preacher. He wants to be born as a preacher. He loves the Lord, he's friendly with devotees, and he preaches to the innocent. So that was his desire. He said, if I have to be born again, let me be in this position of a preacher. Muchukunda also, and he saw Krishna. And that's what he prayed too. He said, let me be a preacher. Be born as a preacher. Very interesting. One time there was a devotee of Lord Shiva who met one of my godbrothers, Apatapa is his name. And so Apatapa showed this Shiva devotee a picture of Srila Prabhupada's head and face. He said, oh, let me measure him. So he measured Prabhupada different angles, and he said, oh, he said, from my measurements I can understand that he is representing all the four sampradayas. And then he said, let me see his full body. So he showed the full picture. He said, yes, four sampradayas here in this one person. And so that's Srila Prabhupada. And so then the Shiva devotee said, if I take birth again in this world, I would like to be a part of this movement. And Tava said, don't you want to go to Lord Shiva? He said, no, I want to be a part of this movement if I take birth again. Yeah. So one of our youth might be one of the Shiva Bhaktas who wanted to take birth again.
You couldn't join now?
No, he was a Shiva devotee in that life. So he had to complete that worship as a Shiva devotee. And next birth. And we can see there's quite a collection of different personalities in this movement. Very different personalities. Some are fallen yogis, some are different, all kinds. Some are devotees in their last life, some weren't. And but somehow we've all taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, surrendered to him, surrendered to Krishna. And Krishna will surely protect us, and Prabhupada will also protect us too. Okay, so we'll stop here if you have any questions. Yes.
I'm rather curious about eternal wheel.
The wheel, yeah. Sudarshan disc.
I'm very curious about that.
You're curious about that.
Is that representative of the symbol that's on top of the chimney stack?
Is that what?
There's a symbol on top of the chimney stack above us.
Oh yeah, that's the Sudarshan. That's right. Yeah. It's the Sudarshan. It's the wheel in the hand of the Lord, Chakra. If you see the form of Vishnu, actually, Jagannath and Balaram might have one. They might have that symbol on their end of their hands. These don't. No, but some do.
It says here that the wheel, the eternal wheel in the name of Vishnu, it generates fear in the mind of the living entity, like the fear of death. Can that be? Could we say that includes animals and humans alike? Can we know that? Do animals feel the same anxieties of their time on Earth? That
Do the animals feel the same anxiety? Yeah, if you go to a slaughterhouse, they do. The other animals, I can't say, but definitely in the slaughterhouse, they're feeling anxiety because of death.
Squirrels seem pretty anxious all the time too.
Yeah, it's true. They're afraid. That's why they're looking this way and that way. They're always looking to see if someone's going to attack me. That's true. It's true. Even the ants, if you hit an ant, then it really runs fast the other way, the other direction. So yeah, they do. They have fear. Actually, it is described, eating, seeking, mating, and defending are the four things which the humans and animals have in common. So they do have that fear, it's true. And it is the Sudarshan wheel in the hand of Vishnu.
So that wheel in his hand is what generates that fear.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Oh.
that's what it says. But devotees aren't afraid because they're safe in the hands of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. They have a different experience of death than the non-devotees do. Non-devotees see the Yamadutas. They see the Yamadutas. One of our devotees, was it her stepfather? No. It was, oh yeah, no, it was her grandfather. She was a young girl, 13. And her grandfather was dying. She was in the room. And he was shouting and saying, let go of me, let go of me. And she saw the Yamadutas in the corner of the room. They're the messengers of death. They're very ugly, and they come to drag the sinful out to Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. And then she told her mother, and mother said, oh, that's the Yamadutas. So then she embraced her father and started chanting. And then he became peaceful. And she said, are they gone? He said, yeah, they're gone. So, yeah, the chanting can save you, will save you, can save you at the time of death. And yeah, that was an experience of one of my friends whose father was dying and her daughter was there in the rooms and she could see what was happening. Yeah, in the hospital they call it terminal something. When they see the Yamadutas and they start screaming and they start getting restless. Terminal something. I can't remember. Terminal restlessness, they call it, in the hospital. Terminal restlessness. And they're screaming and they're saying, let go of me, and don't touch me, and all that. And they're like before they die. Patients go through that. And they could have a name for it. Have a name for it. So yeah, it's the wheel. The wheel is fearful for humans and for animals. And that's what we have in common. The humans are more intelligent and they can understand, they can question, why am I suffering? Why is this happening? And that's the difference between a human being and an animal. If a human being doesn't ask that question, then he's no better than an animal.
Science, I guess.
Science?
Science, asking questions and discerning differences.
Right. Unfortunately, they leave out God in their answers. Most of them. Except our devotee scientists.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other? Yes.
First of all, thank you for the wonderful insight in the different aspects of surrender you mentioned. When we used to go for book distribution, sometimes you have these Christian preachers and they come and say, oh, come and surrender to Jesus, he is the only Savior. So my question is, let's say, I don't know if it's even a valuable proposition, but if somebody surrenders to Jesus, so what is the end result?
Yeah,
Do they still get the protection?
they do get some protection. They get something. They get something. I mean, if you read about near-death experiences, one lady, Christian, she had near-death, and at the end she saw devotees on Harinam. I mean, she saw devotees chanting in Tohian. Sorry. Another one, another book distribution story. The book distributors are going door to door. They came to one house, huge picture of Jesus. And the lady said, oh yeah, Jesus came to me in a dream and said, you should buy these books, they're coming to your door. So, yeah, if they are sincere. I also know another devotee who had a dream. She was a very devout Christian too. And she was like surrendered to Mary, and Mary came to her in a dream. And she was up on a mountain, and she was pointing down into the valley. And she said, your people are there, our people are there. And it was the devotee she was pointing to. And she saw a picture of Prabhupada, and she saw Prabhupada perhaps in a dream, and she came to the temple. Okay, where's Prabhupada? Where is he? And he said, well, he's already left. So she was so upset. But anyway, she joined. And yeah, it depends on your sincerity, how much protection you get. and how much you're following Christ also. If you're actually following and not killing animals, then you get more protection. But some protection is definitely there. You get some protection. If you're really sincere, then they send you to the devotees, send you to the devotees. Yeah, it's definitely. As far as I remember, I heard, I haven't read it, but devotees were saying that Prabhupada said Christ has his own planet. He does have his planet. So I have heard that. I have heard that. You've heard it?
The Mormons have similar ideas to that too. Just having the bodies and the planet.
Yeah, he has his planet and his people, and so yeah, there's a place definitely. I know one of my godbrothers, his father was a minister in the church, and he also took to Krishna consciousness, but he didn't give up his church position. He had the people chanting Hare Krishna and becoming vegetarian. So, yeah, there are a few of Christian ministers who are devotees.
I've heard of different priest ministers
Yeah.
who consult with devotees.
Yeah.
They read the books and they use them.
Yeah.
They don't directly point them towards Krishna, but they use them in the preaching.
Yeah, I saw one devotee in his Vyasa Puja. He was watching a Christian minister on TV. You know, they preach to millions on TV. And he's referring to a book. And then they took a close-up of the book. It was Srimad Bhagavatam. It was first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, close-up of the book. He was talking about serving the Lord and whatever. Yeah, so it's happening. The sincere people will accept, and yeah. Any other questions?
I have a little announcement.
Announcement.
There's a little blue dish on the table next to the prashadam, and it has prashadam Jagannath Puri,
Oh,
more Jagannath for breakfast, little rice. They
okay.
really like.
Jagannath Puri Mahaprasad. Prasadam.